Good afternoon, my lovelies. Welcome to the Self-Love Witch podcast. I am your host, Kim, also known as Intentional Mommy on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in to my podcast today. Today's topic is focused on healing. I feel like the month of April, spring, regeneration, rejuvenation. It's a big emphasis on healing and on, healing the wounds that still show today with triggers or with certain situations that may arouse or awaken certain things within you that you may have thought were dormant or non-existent. So I'm being very vulnerable in this episode today. Today's episode is going to be on, the etiquette or the way you should move after healing from something. And ideally, I'm going to start from, the first heartbreak that I feel like a lot of us experiences, which is from our parents. I feel like I'm going to start real straight to the point today. I feel like it's sad that a lot of humans can agree that the first people to break their hearts were their parents. I can say that it's true for me. I'm speaking my truth in this episode, and I am not holding back. No, I'm not going to spill my business, but what I am going to do is I'm going to reflect on my experiences, and I am going to put out into the world what I wish someone would have said to me and what I feel like can help other people, because I feel like when we go through things, we're not meant to internalize them and keep them to ourselves. I feel like we are meant to share it, to let people know you are not alone, to let people know that we are all healing from different things, and that your pain is not solitary, and it's not single-handedly placed on you. It is something that a lot of us experience. So for me, the first people to break my heart were my parents. I feel like from a very young age, I was seen as the independent child. So there was not a lot of nurturing that was given to me, because I was seen as the oldest child who really was very independent and who really could really just observe things and learn how to get things done. Because I was the oldest, there was a lot of responsibility put on me, and therefore there was not a lot of emphasis on trying to nurture me or raise me emotionally, or to nurture me with my emotions or anything like that, because I was just seen as a very strong and independent child. Throughout my childhood, I dealt with a lot of things that I didn't really talk about. I never was the kind of child that would go to my parents about anything I was feeling emotionally. And that is because growing up, I was never asked how I felt about things. I was just simply, deal with them myself. And that's because we never were raised on having that dialogue about how you feel about things. It was just the only emotions that were shown, which I feel like is common now. People are so okay with showing that they're upset, but when it comes to showing that they are sad or hurt, it is something that they mask and something that they don't deal with, or something they don't like to admit. And I kind of internalized that. So, I feel like when you're raised with that mentality where you do not feel the need to express yourself emotionally, it does make you very, very, very much so guarded, especially when you go into adulthood, and especially when you feel like you cannot trust people, because you feel like, if you cannot trust the people who raised you, the people who actually brought you into this world, earth side, then you feel like those are the people who should care about me to the utmost. That's what we grow up believing, you know what I'm saying? And they should. There's no doubt about that. But the reality is, we have to learn to start humanizing everyone, including our parents. And this is not to excuse their behavior, but it's to help us logicalize things and to not take things so personally. Because if we do take everything personally from what everyone does, we will be some hurt people. And, I'm all for feeling our pain and feeling our traumas and feeling our experiences, but I'm also for always trying to find the silver lining and to evolve past it, because you don't want to be defined by what has happened to you. Let that be a stepping stone. to the person you are meant to be. So with my experience, I want to talk about how, you don't have to operate in a way that people expect you to. Once you reach that point where you feel like you have been able to humanize your experience, you've been able to humanize the fact that people, if they're not, where they are, if they are where they are, you can't expect them to see things differently. A lot of people's perspectives are formed from their own experiences in their life, and I had to accept, if I knew that I wouldn't do specific things that were done to me by loved ones or by people I trusted, if I knew I would never do that, me saying I would never do that, why would you do that? It doesn't do anything, because they did it because they felt like that's what they should have done in that moment. And honestly, a lot of people, we do not think the same. We all have different perspectives, different experiences, but you have to figure out where people are at mentally to understand why they do the things they do. And I'm not saying that's to be done to try to empathize with the way they move, but more so to help you with your healing process and understanding that, sometimes it is personal, but sometimes it's not personal. And let's not play. Most of the times it does feel personal. Especially when there are things that, you've expressed time and time again, like, hey, that hurts me, please don't do that. Hey, this makes me feel this way, please don't do that. There are people who hear you, but they are not listening to you. And it's sad to say that some people will hear you and they will give the illusion that they are listening, but in reality, they do not. Your feelings do not hold any value to them. And this comes off very cold and harsh, but it's true that, I find that simplifying things really does help with the healing process for me. When people care about things, it is evident. It is very, very evident. It is very, very evident. And honestly, I do live in a very black and white world when it comes to how people treat me. I feel like if you care about me, I will know, you will show it. If you do certain things and I express, X, Y, and Z to you, and you still continue to treat me this way or do this, I'm going to chop it up to you do not care. And I feel like that saves a lot of time, because at the end of the day, when you've gone through things that are very traumatic or things that were very disrespectful to your existence, or when you just feel like your needs and your healing wasn't respected or honored, you're gonna feel like you do adopt this black or white perception of life, because you can find yourself continuously making excuses for people, especially when you operate from a space of pure love and you genuinely do care about people and you care about the ones you love, and you want you guys to have a better relationship. But, we have to watch out for Stockholm syndrome, and that's where you tend to only have positive feelings and positive memories of your abusers or people who have mistreated you, because you genuinely still care about them. So you want to see the good in them always. But that is not our job. That is not our job. That is not our role. I feel like we do need to learn to simplify how people treat us and simplify, the intentions behind it. I feel like we too often excuse a lot of things that honestly there is no excuse. It boils down to a person's integrity and to a person's intentions. And the older I get, the more I feel like I no longer try to make sense of things. I more so just put two and two together. And I'm not going to assume anything, I will have a full conversation with you, but it comes to a point in time where you do have to get to that point where you're like A or B. You know, it really has to get to that point when you have to be stern like that. And I don't even want to call it stern when it just comes to being definite and trusting yourself and trusting the things that you're experiencing and trusting, you know, if you're being respected or loved or not. And in my experience, the reason I want to make this episode today is because I really want to express to anyone hearing this right now to trust yourself, define what love is for you. And I don't even mean in relationships. We could talk about that too, but I'm talking about in your friendships, in your connections, your family relationships, any connections that you hold dear to yourself. Define what love and respect and honor is to you, and make sure that you are actually feeling those things when you are around these people and when you are interacting with them. And when some actions are done that you do not like, you need to speak on them. And when they are not honored and respected in that moment, you need to take heed to that. You need to move accordingly. In this season, there is absolutely no more room for us to be creating illusions or excuses for people that mistreat us or who do not return the same reciprocity of love and genuine care that we express to them. There is no excuse for that anymore. And I really hope and pray that anyone listening here, you stop internalizing what things that people do to you or, you know, try to do to you. Because let's be real, a lot of people, they do things and you can never fathom why they would do certain things or say certain things. You can never fathom those things. But your job is not to understand why they did it. It's more so to understand, do I feel loved and respected by this action? Yes or no? Okay, move accordingly. Especially when these are people who have a past of mistreating you or a past of, you know, not honoring where, you know, you're where you are, you know what I mean? And to not feel guilt about it. And also to question if what you're feeling is guilt. I found a TikTok, I can't remember the guy's name, but he said, when you have to cut toxic people out of your life, you do have to ask yourself if what you're feeling is actually guilt. Because do you actually feel bad for having to do that? Most time the answer is no. But the main thing that we do probably feel is shame or disappointment or loneliness or any type of feelings that can come with having to cut significant toxic people out of our life. And we have to learn to unpack that, you know. But I had to realize today I don't feel guilty for having to cut out people who mistreat me or people who do not show me genuine love or care. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel wrong about doing any of that. And if I ever mistake that for guilt, I just simply need to ask myself the questions of, did I do what was best for me and my best interest? Did I show genuine love? Was I receiving it back? Was I respected? You know, did this person value how I felt? Did this person make efforts to respect me and to, you know, really show that they care about me as a person? And you really have to get down to the nitty-gritty of the situation, because at the end of the day, despite who these people are in your life, some people do not change. And it's not because they don't think you're worthy of the change. You can't personalize everything. But it's just because that's just not something that they prioritize in their life. And you just have to find the people who prioritize the same things as you. If your family has hurt you, find your own family. Create your own family. You know, find your own tribe. You need new friends, find new friends. But for the love of God, please, if you take anything from this today, do not internalize the hatred that is spewed upon you. that is a reflection of where they are. That is the reflection of their inner world that they are spewing out into the world. You just focus on creating your inner world of peace, creating your inner world of love, and making sure that the people around you and the situations and experiences that you place yourself in, that they reflect your inner world that you want to create for your outer world for yourself. And that heartbreak and that mistrust that you may have experienced from, whether it be your parents, whether it be from other people that you held close to your heart, you can feel that pain, but transmute that pain to be something beautiful and a stepping stone for you. Let it teach you what love is not, to learn to create what love is for yourself. And that is all I wanted to say. It's a very quick message, but I wanted to put this out. It was heavy on my heart. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, please stay tuned. I'm coming with another one. But happy Self-Care Sunday, y'all. This was a touchy episode, but I really wanted to drop this today. And please tune in to our Instagram at the Self Love Witch Podcast. If you guys wish to support the podcast, we do have monthly donations that you guys can submit on Anchor or Spotify. If you like to donate monthly to contribute to the creations of our new episodes and to support your girl. But I love y'all. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Stay focused on building your reality to the reality that you want to manifest for yourself. All the BS, cut it out. You know what I'm saying? We're evolving. We may be hurt by a few things, but guess what, baby? It don't stay storming for long, okay? The sun's going to come out. The sun is going to come out. Always remember that the world is always turning. The sun and the moon rises and falls every single day. So therefore, there is always change for us awaiting. So remember that. I hope you guys have a blessed day and stay magical. Peace.